Welcome to the Chode Gambit. This is a development off the Cock and Balls opening developed by yours truly. This is the shortest way to win a chess game, but quick disclaimer, it should only be played in bullet, blitz, or rapid time format. It should not be played inside of classical. If you do so at your own risk. Starts off with e4, e6, the French defense. Very similar to the Cock and Balls. We play d4 and then follow up with d5. Now, instead of playing bishop to d3 like we would in the Cock and Balls opening, we simply play e takes d5. After e takes d5, in this position, a lot of people play pawn to c5, but it's the same move order if we play knight to c6. So I've prepared knight to c6 for this video. After knight to c6, we simply play a3, preventing knight to b4 in the future. After g6, preparing to put the bishop along the long diagonal, looks a little bit like a Sicilian dragon. We simply play bishop to d3, forming the tip of our pp. After knight to f6, we simply play knight to e2. And after bishop g7, no, we do not play knight to d2. We first develop the girth of our chode. After castles, we don't castle back. We play knight to d2, forming our full chode. All we need are some balls. After rook to e8, occupying the open e-file, we simply play h3, preventing knight to g4, which would disrupt our pp, which we cannot allow in this line. It's okay in the Cock and Balls, but not in the Chode Gambit. After pawn to b6, preparing to put the bishop on b7 or potentially a6. After a5, we simply castle. Now we've developed the first ball for our chode. After pawn to a5, preparing to put the bishop on a6 to disrupt our chode, we actually play pawn to b4. After a takes b4, c takes b4, now bishop to a6 is no longer possible, so our chode will remain intact for another day. After this point, black will normally play something like h5, trying to remaneuver over to the king side, but we don't care. We play the automatic move, queen to b3, similar to the Cock and Balls. Remember, you guys gotta remember this one. So after knight to e7, trying to put all the pieces along this side of the board, we simply play rook to c1, creating our full chode. It may look small, but it is highly effective. Just look at these bishops. Look at this queen here. Look at this rook occupying the semi-open c-file. I mean, the knights can jump into the attack very simply, occupy the center of the board. Anyone who looks at this would definitely prefer to play as white in this position. Black's pieces are undeveloped. The knight is weirdly blocking the rook. Let's just say the chode here is quite strong. Black sees the threat here, so their best move is to play knight to f5, attacking our chode, but at this point we are comfortable with destroying it with bishop takes f5. Now, normally bishop takes f5 looks like an automatic move, but we'll simply kick away the bishop with something like knight to g3, so the engine actually recommends to take with the g-pawn here. I don't know why. As you can see, we can reclaim our full chode here by playing queen to d3, but at this point we don't want to dwell on the past. So moving on, we play knight to f3. The idea being that we want to jump into e5 because the f-pawn is blocked in by the knight. So there's nothing stopping the knight from coming to e5. Of course, you could play something like knight back to d7, but I mean, who would block in their bishop even more? No one's going to do this. So here, after bishop to f8, trying to create some attack on the queen side with pawn to c5, supporting it with the bishop here, we simply ignore all that and we play rook to e1. Rook to e1, reoccupying the semi-open, well, it is now an open e-file, preparing to move our bishop away, maybe our knight away, maybe our knight to e5. It looks a bit passive, but it actually serves a purpose for later on. Now, bishop to e6 looks pretty strong as well. I mean, there's nowhere else for you to develop the bishop. This diagonal is blocked. This diagonal is also blocked pretty much because you push the pawn. So, I mean, you have to put the bishop somewhere and also freeing up some space for the queen. After bishop to g5, attacking the knight, bishop to e7. I see you sitting there imagining yourself taking this knight. No. We don't want to do that. We want to play knight to e5, preparing to jump to the c6 square. So after knight to e4, opening up a double attack, a triple attack on this bishop, perhaps regaining some high ground. We ignore all of that and we play knight to c6. Once again, we don't automatically take the bishop. I saw you. I felt your brain. So after a queen comes to d6, defending the queen and defending the bishop at the same time, at this point we can take the bishop with bishop takes e7, rook takes e7, and instead of immediately taking back, we want to first throw in the intermediate pawn to f3, kicking away the knight. So after rook saves itself, because you either pick your poison, you either play down an exchange, or you play down two pieces, but down a full piece, forgive me. But I guess in this position, it's probably better to play rook d7, according to the engine. After pawn takes the knight, now look at this attack. Queen comes to f3, going after g5, putting the king into check. That's absolutely incredible. Now, king comes to h7. It's probably better than h8, saving the king for another day, perhaps preparing to play rook to g8, occupying this semi-open g-file. But we ignore all that once again, and we play knight to e5, preparing to put our pieces on this side of the board and bring the rook to c6 to attack the queen. Now, the queen is one of the only pieces supporting the bishop, so that's going to come in handy later on. After rook to d7, defending the rook from this threat, we simply play rook to c6, forcing the queen to d5, maintaining defense of the bishop. However, it is still defended by this weird pawn, which can never kick away the knight for that exact reason. After queen to g5, no, we do not play rook to g8 straight away. Black has to play rook to e8, defending the rook and maintaining defense of this bishop. There is no pawn to f6 because the queen will simply take. At this point, the king is also locked onto the h file. He cannot leave this side of the board. After queen takes h5, best move by the engine, king comes to g7. We simply play rook to c3, going after the g3 square, preparing to put another check on the black king. After pawn to f4, attempting to prevent this check. Look how powerful the Chode Gambit is. We have so many pieces that we can take this with. Obviously, we don't take with the knight because we'd be hanging this pawn. But if we play queen to g5 check, king to f8, queen takes f4, now there's no way of stopping this rook from coming to g3. So black is going to try and escape the king here with rook to d7, giving the king some breathing room. But we simply play queen to f6. Now the king has nowhere to go, so at this point black should probably resign, but I also have no idea why, but the engine is here recommending bishop to f5. I mean, the engine is so lost in the Chode that it just gives up a piece to try and free up some squares for its pieces. I mean, that is just diabolical. I mean, can you think of another opening where the engine says just have it all? No. This is why the Chode Gambit is so powerful, and it's going to be used at the highest level of play. I absolutely can feel it. But we play like ballers here. We don't take free pieces. We don't take freebies. We'll play queen to h6 in this position. And now look at this. King comes to e7, and now we don't go giving more checks or any random crap. We play knight to c6. And look at this. The king has no squares. He can't go along here, can't go along there. So the queen has to take. And after rook takes, there's very little black can do to win this game. So that was the entire Chode Gambit. This is likely how most of your games are going to play out, up some pieces. You'd have to be very stupid to not win this game, but, you know, we all have our bad days. So anyways, if you'd like to see the edging attack and the compensation variation of the cock and balls, drop a like and sub if you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think of the opening below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.